following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin' Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down, handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Here are Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus, Rob Phillips, and Bill Jones.
And welcome into Talkin' Cowboys, final practice of the week before the Cowboys' third preseason game against the Houston Texans at AT&T Stadium on Saturday night. Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus right down yonder. Bill Jones might be joining us again today. He's got some TV duties to attend to. Cowboys starting to trickle onto the practice field here for, like I said, it's the third open practice of the week and their last prep, if you want to call it prep, for the preseason game against Houston. First, though, a somber feeling among the Cowboys organization, the Cowboys family this morning, as former Cowboys quarterback and current play-by-play man Babe Laufenberg's son, Luke, passed away after a courageous fight with cancer. Just awful news that Babe announced today, and that word has gotten through the Cowboys family. Just a tough moment right now.
You know, guys, it's never easy. Even if that was sort of the expected outcome, unfortunately, when Luke's cancer came back, and then when it happens, it just hits you, and it hit the head coach, which in turn hit the rest of us. I think when he talked for about, I don't know, what do you think, 2 minutes, trying to explain what he thought of Luke. And just go to DallasCowboys.com. You'll be able to listen to it. And that's all he talked about today. It was very brief, and I don't think anybody would have even tried to ask a football question. So, yeah, it was pretty sad to see Jason in that situation. He's out at practice right now, standing on the 50-yard line. And I think practice it might start a little late. I'm sure it took him a while to compose himself. He was very close to Babe and to Luke, Babe's family. And so this one, I think, hit really hard. And if I noticed right, it looked like he and Daryl Johnston had an embrace there just before we came on the air. So, yeah, tough day. And as Jason said, he was an amazing young man, how hard he tried to fight to defeat this. And he had some choices, and his last choice was, I'll do everything I can to try to live.
Coaches do a great job of putting things in perspective. They understand, they deal with a lot of emotions as they go along. It was very difficult to watch Jason Garrett stand up there because he was clearly grieving. We've always seen him as being a rock up there, if you want to say. We've all had our differences. I mean, I've had differences, but you saw the human side of him today in this press conference. He obviously has lost a close friend. It means a lot to him. He'll try and celebrate Luke's life the best he can as a coach. He'll go out here, and as Jason Garrett say, he will have the best day he can have practicing. And that's all you can do. You celebrate the young man's life. You move on. Jason Garrett is doing his best right now to be out there and to coach his team. And he knows he has a job. But, again, you saw the human side of Jason Garrett today. It's a very difficult situation to deal with. But coaches tend to have this mechanism in them. It's inbred that they're able to take things that happen to them, put them aside for a little bit, focus on their job, and then come back to them when need be.
Go ahead, Mick.
And I was going to say, if we can get a shot at the field, they normally get going, right? And he's called the team up and probably trying to explain to everybody what went on, what's going on. Babe just tweeted it out at about 10:20 this morning. The press conference was supposed to start at 10:35, and it probably didn't start till 10:45 or 50 for that matter, and for good reason, as Jason tried his best to compose himself. But Brian's right. A lot of people don't see that side of Jason all the time. We see it, but other folks don't.
Right.
So he's not as automated as everybody thinks he is.
And again, he's very close to Babe and Babe's family. This is a partial quote from what Jason said this morning. Again, the only question that he took in the press conference today. He said, quote, "Luke was an amazing young man. You guys have heard me talk about fight a lot. I don't know that I've ever seen a better example of that in my life. What he's gone through in the last couple of years, the spirit that he had every day to battle through it, to always be thoughtful of the people in his life." So, again, a tragic, situation, young man that really fought through something awful.
Yeah.
And, that has, affected so many people.
Cancer is difficult to deal with. Well, any illness is difficult to deal with, but especially with kids, especially,
and I'm talking to two dads right here.
Yeah, and soon to be a dad down there at the end. And the thing about it is, we go through this life and we do the best we can, and it's just unfortunate that sometimes there's illnesses and things that happen to us, and you wonder why they happen to us. But again, you find ways to be stronger for it and to live on. And Babe Laufenberg, again, former professional player, he understands that his life has been a lot of ups and downs, and it's difficult. Yes, it's his son, but he will choose to find a way to live in a way to honor his son's life, and that's what you got to do. Keep going forward, honor the ones we lost, move on, and because Luke would want him to do that. Luke would want Jason Garrett to go have a great practice today and have this Dallas Cowboys team be a team that is the best that they can be.
Well said, both guys. Okay, practice getting set here to get going momentarily. The team's out on the field. They're in shells today. Looks like not a padded practice, so trying to kind of ease back a little bit with the game here in a couple days.
Yeah. Well, it's a typical Friday practice is what's going on here for a Sunday game, so you just move up the schedule to Thursday, and he's got to do his best to get them off their feet a little bit. I'm sure it'll be a shorter practice, and then just get ready to play a game on Saturday, 6 o'clock against the Houston Texans. And I'm sure there'll be a few vets here. I can see Witten doesn't have a helmet on. So they'll get some of these guys will get a day or so.
Tyron Smith as well.
Tyron Smith, no helmet. Zach Martin obviously hasn't been practicing, and I don't expect to see him until the first week of the regular season. There's a couple other guys without helmets on. I think it's Deku and Mike Jackson, I believe.
Yeah, Mike Jackson's been one, and that's unfortunate for Mike Jackson because we've talked about this before. These cornerbacks, even the starting cornerbacks through with what we've seen with Donovan Olumba, have come out here and played. There's going to be some difficult decisions about what they're going to do at this cornerback spot, and Mike Jackson is in that mode right now where not practicing, probably not going to be able to play at least this week. That sets him back because these coaches now, it's that we've had several weeks of practices, we've had a couple of games. It's now about trying to find these 53 players, and we've said before, if you're not practicing, you're not on the train, and if you're not on the train, you're not going to the next stop. You're stuck in where you're at, and so I feel bad for a guy like Mike Jackson who had moments at training camp where he actually looked pretty good, and now he's going to be behind the eight ball a little bit, trying to catch up.
Yeah, I see Dalton Schultz still no helmet. I was looking for Blake Jarwin. I can't tell if he's getting back into practice because they were getting really low on tight ends.
And no Cody McElroy.
Well, Cody McElroy's, wearing a ball cap as well.
Yeah, he is too. And if Witten's not practicing, they might have to go no tight end offense.
Well,
it is a vet
Marcus
day for
Lucas,
Witten,
though.
huh?
Yeah. You know what they did yesterday was kind of neat was they took Jameis Olawale and put him as a tight end guy. So you might see more fullback today in the practice. You might even see more wide receiver. We need to figure out some of these wide receivers. And that's good. And if the game plan today, if the attitude of the practice is, okay, we don't have this position group, well, let's lean on this position group today. And so keep an eye on fullbacks and keep an eye on wide receivers today, having to make some plays.
That's a good point because it gives you a little bit more of a broader evaluation of these guys.
Absolutely.
Because wide receiver, we've talked about it quite a bit, but we still don't know exactly how the bottom end of that receiver depth chart is going to shake out here after a couple more preseason games.
I think it was good listening to Sanjay Lal talk about it the other day, and he made no bones about it. He was, disappointed in his young receivers that he was very high on.
Right.
But as you can see, coaches, they can't be biased. Now, before, we were in OTAs and minicamp,
right,
he was singing the praises of the speed of these young receivers, Reggie Davis,
Brian
John Vay Johnson, Jaylon Guyton, all of us were. And then their play kind of fell off once they got into the preseason games, once they got to the blue-white scrimmage. And he said, he goes, if, they're going to need to pick it up. That's not acceptable, dropping passes and missed assignments and bad alignments. And then suddenly, with all that happening, the guy that really nobody was talking about, Devin Smith, all of a sudden – he arose, and now if you're
Cedric
looking
Wilson
at
too.
And Cedric Wilson, if you're looking at the two guys, if we're going to count Tavon Austin in the top 4, those are the two guys. If they go 6, to me right now, that's who would make this team.
Yeah,
Mickey. And so it just goes to show you this whole thing's a long process, but you have to be very objective when you cut down your roster. You can't have pet cats and say, well, he did well before, he's just having a little dry spell. No, you can't have dry spells when you're an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, no bad days.
Right.
No bad days here. I think Mickey made a great point yesterday, and I was listening to our show. I always go back and listen to our shows out walking this morning.
Good, because I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, but she made a really good point about the PUP situation with Noah Brown.
Brown.
And and I don't think if there was a push, that we would see if there wasn't a push from these young kids, I don't think we would. I think we'd have to see Noah Brown start to practice. They have to get him ready. But the fact that they have some options there, absolutely, they can kind of take their time with Noah Brown and they don't have to push him. I think that what I really appreciated about what Sanjay Lal said yesterday, and this goes back to the old personnel man guy in me. When I used to sit in those meetings with coaches, I always felt like the coaches, they would cheerlead for guys. And I was like, but this guy's not playing well. Why are we keeping this guy on the roster? So, but to me, Rob, the evaluation, the biggest issue with teams in the National Football League is misevaluating their own team.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me these coaches aren't misevaluating their own team. Like Mickey said, Sanjay Lal said, hey, I was very high on 2 young kids. Want to see them go up, but they really haven't shown me that. So I've got to get these other guys ready. That's the sign of a staff that's not going to misevaluate their team.
And I think you guys did a better job than I did in Oxnard evaluating, or at least talking. You mentioned pet cats. Like John Vay Johnson's talent level, to me, I think he's got a lot of potential. And I kept saying that in Oxnard, and you guys kept pointing out to me, well, number 16 is playing better. Cedric Wilson has been more consistent. We've seen Devin Smith be more consistent. And that's, Brian, that's kind of a challenge for the staff, for the scouts. When you're cutting down this 53-man roster, how much do you look at potential? Like, this guy's not playing well now versus maybe a guy, and I'm not saying those guys have less potential, but they're playing better. So how much, do you have to hedge your bets at some point and say, well, we're hoping this guy eventually corrects things?
Yeah, well,
or is it too late because we just haven't seen it?
Devin Smith will remind everybody that one time he was a second-round pick. John Vay Johnson and Guyton weren't drafted in this draft.
Good point.
So all of a sudden now you start to say, oh, I see what the Jets saw in Devin Smith. The knee injuries robbed him of any chance early in his career.
Same ACL twice.
Yeah. So all of a sudden now you're saying, I get it. It's like you caught a break. Like the Jets, I go back, and Mickey covered this guy a long time. Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith had so much talent here. And then Jimmy Smith got injured, got caught up in some things. Front office is saying, Jimmy Smith went up being a wide receiver with the Jacksonville Jaguars and had a hell of a career with the Jaguars. But all of a sudden it's like you had to deliver the baby, but you didn't get to see the baby grow up. You know, that's the thing about it there. And, I'm sorry if it's a bad analogy, but that's really what it is. The Cowboys did the legwork on Jimmy Smith. The Jets did the legwork on Devin Smith. He's just now healthy enough to where the Cowboys maybe could benefit from it.
It was a hell of a second-round pick by the Cowboys out of Jackson State, by the way.
Right.
And he got here, and he broke his leg.
Yeah.
Missed his rookie year.
Appendicitis.
And then the next year, near the end of training camp, he ended up with appendicitis.
Right.
They thought he had something else, and all of a sudden, it wasn't just appendicitis, but his appendix ruptured.
Right.
And he was in the hospital for 7 weeks trying to drain the infection out of him caused by the appendix rupturing. And so he missed that season, as I remember. And then they tried to reduce his base salary, and this was at a point where Jerry wasn't making $5 billion franchise, and so from they were getting close to the start of the salary cap, and it was like, okay, we got to cut somewhere, and it's like we're going to release you, but we're going to re-sign you. Well, John Wooten, who was working for the Cowboys when they drafted Jimmy Smith, was in Philadelphia, and he ended up in their pro personnel department, and he was like, if nothing else, this guy can return kickoffs for us. And so Philadelphia signed him, and then they let him become a free agent, and that's when Jacksonville grabbed him. And after that, here it goes. So with Devin Smith, it was funny when I talked to him yesterday. I said, you've sort of reminded everybody who you are and kind of got your hand up in the air. He goes, well, you know what? I had to do that because I haven't played in a while, and my job here was not only to play well, but to remind him of what the player I once was. And he said, I'm finally feeling I've got confidence in my body and in my legs to be able to go back out and play at that level.
And I think one thing we've seen Will McClay do so well with this front office pro personnel is find guys that have been high draft picks somewhere else and for whatever reason didn't work out, and then you bring them in and you see. And it's worked out in camp for Devin Smith. We'll see if it continues. Let's take our first break. And when we come back, we'll talk about today's practice. We'll recap some things we saw from yesterday's practice. And once again, our deepest condolences to Babe Laufenberg and his family.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not too...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store and learn how to buy one smartphone and get a second one on us. Based on GWS 1 score, September 2018.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Work the Cowboys way and channel the winning business tradition of the Dallas Cowboys and the Jones family at Formation. This dynamic workspace provides an elevated work experience on the Star's aspirational campus with exclusive membership options available to meet varying needs. Choose from open workspaces, dedicated desks, and private offices to leverage our home field advantage for your individual business success. Limited memberships are available now, so apply today at formationatthestar.com.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Cowboys with another open training camp practice here at the Star. Things just getting going down here on the practice field. And I've got my buddies Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus here. Bill Jones might be joining us here in a little bit. He's gotten some TV stuff to take care of. There he is.
Attaboy, Bill.
Okay. Brian, you got a Scout's Eye coming up here shortly. It might be up already on DallasCowboys.com.
I haven't checked,
Yesterday. What stood out to you from yesterday's practice? A lot of 2-minute work.
Yeah.
What did you like about that?
Oh, what
like about it?
What a nice drive to get the ball down there to the 6-yard line, and all of a sudden they're going to try and fit it into Jason Witten. It was a good play.
Dak, yeah.
Dak is going to try and fit it in there. Joe Thomas. Yeah, we've seen Joe Thomas make plays. How about these linebackers, Mickey? These guys, it's interceptions. They get their hands on balls. That's a good sign for this linebacker group. But Dak Prescott, once again, kind of smartly moving the team down the field. All of a sudden he's going to try and fit it to Witten on that in cut there. And Witten is having to fight Joe Thomas. And I thought that was really cool in itself. Joe did a nice job. But, man, he had Randall Cobb running underneath, and he let it fly. He made the decision to go to Witten before he saw Cobb on the break. You know, it's something when he looks back on the film, he's going to go, oh, man, I had a sure 6 right there. But I like what I've seen with Dak Prescott moving this team, whether it's been drives to start these preseason games or what we saw in that 2-minute drill.
And Mick, the situation was 1 minute 2 left, offense down by 3.
Had a field goal in pocket.
Yeah. So
maybe.
So my question,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
does Dak make that throw if
in
they're in a game situation?
You would hope not, because it's 2nd and 5.
What did you tell him after practice?
It was 2nd and 5 at the 7.
Yeah.
And he had 10 seconds. So one more play. And then you can kick the field goal and tie it, because it should be in your back pocket.
Right.
So we were chatting with him. He didn't do his interview, but he was chatting about a whole bunch of stuff at his locker with all of us. And I don't know how it came up, but he said, yeah, I probably should have thrown that and hit the crossbar.
Sure.
And I looked at him. I said, no, you should have thrown it into the second row of seats.
Yeah.
And then I said, ooh, I hope I know him well enough to joke, you know?
Have you earned the right?
Did I earn the right to joke with Dak Prescott?
You've been around him enough to joke.
And I think I got away with it because he smiled and he kind of nodded his head.
Yeah.
And he knew. But, you know, when you see it like that and you react, you said, okay, let me try and see if I can fit it in.
Why not?
That's what this is.
I all along, I'm like, throwing the ball to Jason Witten in the red zone or for a first down on to try and get a first down on third down, to me is never a bad option.
Dak has won games doing that.
Hey, let me tell you what. These defensive guys have made there's times people are, well, how's Dak looked? Oh, well, Dak's done this, done that. There's been times where Dak has looked bad, not because of Dak Prescott, because of how good the defense is playing. I think that, to me, is what's encouraging. Jason Garrett talked about that early in camp. Good days for offense, good days for defense, back and forth, back and forth. That's what you want. You don't want one team just dominating, one side of the ball dominating the other because you don't feel good about your team. I think Joe Thomas has had a really, really nice camp. He was one of our top 15 guys when it was all said and done at the end of the day.
Another guy who stood out on defense for me yesterday, and I wrote about him, was Brian, you mentioned Donovan Olumba. 2 pass breakups and one-on-one drills, and those are not easy, especially when it's down inside the 10-yard line.
Right.
One against Michael Gallup, and he ended practice in second team work in that situational deal with a pass breakup on 4th down against Cooper Rush.
Oh.
He was all over the field. Did he get a penalty?
Oh, no, he didn't get a penalty.
No flag?
He got a penalty, but Mickey from his press box seat would have challenged it. Mickey would have said, it was one of those things where Mickey's team needed to complete the 4th down pass, Mickey would have challenged that. I thought it was a good Olumba, he did. He kind of jammed with the right, but he grabbed. Donovan Olumba's got these white gloves, and he's figured out that the offense is wearing white jerseys, so he's got these big white gloves that he wears, and he's able to kind of grab and pull and kind of go around guys, and that's what he did yesterday. But
veteran move.
Oh, but see, Donovan Olumba is smart. Mickey talked about this. Donovan Olumba knows he's not fast. He knows he's deficient in a lot of areas. But what Donovan Olumba does is he puts himself in position to make plays. And if the officials are not going to throw flags on him, they got him the other day, but if they're not going to throw flags on him out here, on 4th down, why not? Grab, hold, pull, get around, play off handball.
I would have challenged several more calls in the game on Saturday, too, by the way. I was in the box, and I'm supposed to be the stat guy, right? Mm-hmm. And Spotter and I was going like this. I'm throwing my red flag.
Yeah.
And they only threw it once. I would have thrown it about 3 times.
Mickey, can I ask you a question on Periscope here? Fans want to know, and Rob too. They want to know if the Jaylon Smith signing will have any impact on the other ones maybe signing.
I was going to throw that out to you guys yesterday.
Yeah.
No, we just didn't get to it. Yeah, that's a good question. Could that spur on
less pie?
No.
Guys try to get in the door sooner.
If there's less pie, it's very, very less pie.
Like the piece I would eat, like the piece
the little sliver that Brian would take on his diet.
Thank
okay?
you, Mickey. I
just to
appreciate
have
going very well.
Just to have a taste.
Thank you
know?
very much. Appreciate
so
that.
Look, here's the effect on the cap this year. What they did with that entire contract is basically he's under contract for this year. Next year, he would have been under contract as a first-round tender as a restricted free agent. So they basically gave him what the projected amount of that for his base salary. So it's right around $5 million. His base salary for this year is lowered, but they put $5 million signing bonus into it, so he's going to make over $6 million
next year is when the big
year.
Kicker hits.
So it'll go up some next year, and then when the extension hit, that's when his base salary goes up. So essentially, to make this very simple for you guys, it comes down to a 7-year, $69 million contract. So if I divide 7 into 69, I'm right at $10 million a year, just a little bit less. A very good club-friendly contract, but Jaylon gets his money before he was going to have to get it.
Yeah.
So he's got $5 million in his pocket right now, 2 years before they would have given it to him. The other thing is, because of how they structured his first year, actually his cap value for this year only goes up $500,000. So that doesn't affect anything that they do with the other guys for this year and really for next year too. Then it's the following year that the base salary goes up, probably doubles. And then it starts getting high. But then again, the cap should go up, right? It's never gone down. It's always gone up. So it really shouldn't affect it all that much.
And I'm looking up Jaylon's age right now.
I think it's 20. I don't know why
he's 24 years old.
I was going to say 24, yeah.
So, he's signed, I think, through 2025.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Right.
So he'll still be a young guy. He'll be about 30 years old with an opportunity to cash in one more time in his career. So I'm sure that's a factor, too. You hit free agency a little earlier than you might have been if you'd waited it out. So, and tried to bet on yourself for another year.
And the other thing they did in the contract, they put a couple years of guaranteed roster bonus in there, and then there's roster bonuses over the next couple years. So actually, if they wanted to get out of the contract after 3 years, it would be a 3-year, $35 million deal, and they would have $6.8 million in dead money. So the way they structured it, as Jerry was trying to point out through that whole deal, was this was very team-friendly. Team was the precedence.
Yep.
All right, let's. That's Michael Gallup.
Yeah, Michael Gallup.
Cooper Rush.
Throwing the ball really. And there's Devin Smith for you right there.
And the other guy that's out there catching passes is Taron Christian, too.
Yeah.
So they've had him lined up all over the place. Fullback, little tight end.
Yeah.
You know what? I think this kid's going to make this team on the practice squad, because not only can he play quarterback for you, he can also fill in at other positions. He's a pretty good he's Jamel Showers, right?
Yeah, and get ready during camp. He's going to learn how to play safety, too, for practice squad stuff. He's going to do everything that Showers did, who ran out of practice squad eligibility.
Jamil has done
hell
that
of a run for that kid.
He's done that for 3-4 years, where just whatever you need to give the team a look during the week.
Right.
Christian got some quarterback reps yesterday, but it was 2 days ago.
It's the first time it's been in a long time. Yeah.
But yesterday it was kind of back to Jack of all trades.
Because before he was getting like one snap, and that was it.
Right.
Snap.
But they like him. They like him as an athlete.
Yep, they sure do.
All right, let's take our final break. When we come back, more questions from you guys on Periscope. Hit us up and continue to look at what's going on here at practice. The final practice of the week before preseason game number 3 on Saturday night.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit bettermoneyhabits.com.
It's time for tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
The OtterBox that builds those crazy protective phone cases?
Yup, and now they're changing the side dish game with the OtterBox Trooper Soft Cooler. Lightweight, mobile, and leak-proof, Trooper is perfect for blitzing a crowded parking lot with a Frito pie.
Amazing. Hey, you think I could fit my 7-layer salmon salad into the Trooper cooler?
Yup, but please don't.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Learn more about the Trooper Soft Coolers at otterbox.com.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine a surging river of ice-cold Dr. Pepper, roaring with carbonated mists of desire. You're dangling above it, upside down, like a fishing lure in the wind. 23 flavors tickle your nose, but the river is too far away to taste. Dr. Pepper calls to you. You.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back inside Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Cowboys just getting warmed up here at practice today. A lighter practice. They're in shells, no pads. And, Brian, it looks like they're doing some minimal prep as they always do for these preseason games.
Yeah, they are, Rob. They're down in the red zone area, as we can see. Camera angle down there with them. And as you can see, you have the coach holding the cards. That's a actual defensive front, or the second. It's a 7-on-7. So they're showing the Texans secondary and how they would play down here. So the twos are getting a little look about that and kind of going through their paces, give them some look. Just Jason Garrett always talks about this. Give these kids a chance to go play, but try and equip them with a little knowledge along the way.
And then they're also keeping the big guys off their feet. The defensive linemen are over to our right, the offensive linemen to our left across the field, doing just little individual drills, but he's probably trying to keep those guys off their feet as long as he can.
Got a Twitter question from Jake. Couple questions. Number one, who do y'all believe has the edge currently on the defensive end depth chart between Joe Jackson and Jalen Jelks? Also, Connor McGovern finally got into pads this week. Is that correct or no?
Well, he got into pads. He's always worn pads.
Right.
He just doesn't get to play in the pads. He goes out on the 100-degree field and runs and sweats and does all that. He's got to get stronger. But, no, he wears pads. He just doesn't get to play.
He's not ready to practice.
He's not ready to practice yet. So I'll take care of that. I think that if they had to pick one, I think they would take Jackson over Jelks. I just feel like that Jelks, to me, Kerry Hyder's the one that's put himself into this mix.
Right, yes.
So if it's Jelks or Hyder, to me, they would take Hyder. I feel like that with some of the things that they've had happen at defensive end, they have to protect themselves. Hyder's a veteran guy. He knows how to play. He knows how to get to the quarterback. He can also play as the under tackle if you need him in some stuff, and they're starting to do that too with Joe Jackson. I don't think you could do that with Jelks. I think they're going to try and get Jelks to the practice squad myself.
And they've kind of flipped it now. They're running cards on offense to give the defense
Kyle Valero, the coach.
Texans looks.
There you go. Yeah, you're going to see this is what the Texans going to do. Texans play with multiple tight ends. I watched them a little bit last week. They play with multiple tight ends, but they've got they've got some good receivers. Nice. They run through a lot of backs, too, is another thing that they like to do. So,
and by the way, Jeff Heath back out on the field.
Yeah.
He had a stinger worked minimally yesterday, second team. He's back out there with the first team defense.
You got a little more clarity, speaking of injuries, on Amari Cooper's
Yes,
injury, correct?
I've got a name for what he's suffering in that. What did they call it initially? The heel irritation or something like that?
Did you have to hyphenate it?
It's called an intrinsic muscle strain.
There you go.
And what the muscle is, it's a muscle on the outside of your foot, very small, thin muscle, and it controls the inflection of your little toe.
Wow. Who would think that the season is hanging on a little toe?
Yeah, and what do you don't need to inflex it or whatever the term would
yeah,
be.
you do. When you
I know. If you ever
tried,
tried not using the outside of your foot to do anything, it's pretty difficult. So they're pretty confident. He's pretty confident that he will be ready to go for the season opener.
Speaking of ready to go, I noticed that Chris Covington is back out there too, working with
Good eye.
Justin March.
Sean Lee.
Yeah, and Sean Lee out there. Yeah, so it's good to see Sean Lee out there.
So they give Jaylon Smith a day?
It looks like they gave the money man a day off here.
Maybe he was out there earlier, though.
Yeah.
He's out there at the 30-yard line.
He just taking him out of team stuff.
Yeah.
Give him an easy day.
Sean Lee, by the way, has jumped right back in. I think we mentioned that yesterday. He had a would-be sack on Dak yesterday, and I think that was during blitz period. He looks good. No issues.
I tell you, this linebacker crew is a good-looking crew. When you stand there next to him like at practice, when we were in Oxnard, I'm going, my gosh, Vander Esch, Smith, Thomas, Covington, those guys, they all look like they got off the bus together. It is a good-looking group physically at that position.
You forget how big Vander Esch is
until you stand next
go
to
down next to him.
Yeah.
That's a big man.
Yeah, it's a really
big man playing linebacker.
Well, remember how physical Sean Lee used to look at it? Like, oh, Sean Lee's bulked up. He's small compared to those other two linebackers he plays next to. He really is. Yeah.
I'm supposed to visit with Justin Phillips.
Yeah,
look
at Leighton Vander Esch right there. My gosh, Sean Lee getting a good man. You're like a safety. You're seeing what Kayvon Frazier's looking at right now. Oh. There we go.
There's a Lumba again, number 32.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to visit with Justin Phillips after practice. I want to ask him what it's like being in that room because it's got to be maybe a little intimidating given the amount of talent, experience.
That kid makes plays.
No, he's not intimidated because he stepped right in and really played well.
They have to appreciate how well he's come out here and played. You see, it was 90-something degrees on that field in Hawaii the other day, and he's running around like it's, week 13 in the National Football League. I mean, he's running around making plays. That's the bottom line. I mean, that's, it's funny. See, Mike White, he held the ball again, and it's scout team.
There's Phillips, number 44 right there.
Yeah, it's scout team. You can't, come on, Mike, throw the ball. Just move the ball on.
And I don't know that Jalen Guyton needs to be celebrating.
No.
It's
you
the
guys
scout
are in
team.
a little hopscotch mode today?
Yeah, we are hopscotching it, Coach. We're sorry about that.
But we're going what's on the video, Coach.
Yeah, exactly.
We're paying attention.
Paying attention to the videos.
One more question. Stan checks in on Twitter asking about Donovan Wilson.
Yeah.
What you've seen from him the last week or so maybe at safety.
You got anything on that, Rue?
I think, obviously he stepped up. You saw him with the interception in the one preseason game and suffered a little hand bruise yesterday. I think it was his thumb.
Yeah.
But
trainer said okay, right?
Right.
About that? Yeah, you got that report?
So, okay. So he's back out here today. He's got a little black glove on, but you're watching Crawford and Lawrence do some drills.
That's tools right there. Can we go back to that? I don't know if we could produce on the fly here. I guess we're going to get some inside action here more from Mike White and them throwing the football. But if you saw what he was doing right there, that's what every young player needs to watch. That's what Tristan Hill, nice job right there by Cedric
Wilson again.
Cedric Wilson. Oh, he's a good-looking kid, too.
All right,
Look at that.
we're finally going to get a little team action.
Look at that, man. Yeah, even Jaylon Smith went over and said, hey, nice job there, man. That kid, he's feeling it. He's feeling it. That's what you got to have. He's playing with a lot of confidence right now. That kid made a lot of plays at Boise.
You think it helped him to just be around the team last year, even though he was hurt? I mean, just to kind of be around the system a little bit.
Yeah, but he didn't show up until like the second week of practice, or maybe it took him. Mickey always likes to say, "Hey, these guys haven't played in a while. Maybe it takes him time to get going." I need to buy into that theory a little bit more.
I think that's what happened with Devin Smith.
Yeah,
he hadn't played in over a year and a half.
Yeah,
and he gets out here and it's like, okay, and then all of a sudden he's feeling it, but we're still on card practices, so the scout team defense is out there against the first team offense.
There we go.
So again, it's one of you don't read too much into that when they're running cards and prepping.
Can I ask a question? All along, I've kind of thought if they had to play the Giants tomorrow, that Alfred Morris would be the starter. Should I go away from that right now?
That was a mailbag question. Like, what is Zeke? How does Zeke impact that depth chart?
I'm sorry. Yeah, if Zeke's not playing, I'm sorry about that.
Well, if he's not playing, that's your question? No,
if he's not playing, no, I'm saying.
Well, he doesn't count against the 53.
No, but is Pollard going to be the starter against the Giants? I thought it was going to be Alfred Morris. Am I wrong about that?
We haven't seen any sight of that, have we?
That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of feel like I'm being wrong.
Not only do I think it's Pollard because he started the first 2 preseason games. If Zeke's not
he
there,
only played 9 the first 9 snap. Yeah.
They've taken him out just like they have Dak Prescott,
right?
And the guys that you know are going to be a big part of this thing.
Yeah.
So I would think so too. Of course, we don't know. I mean, you're hoping Zeke can get done before.
I think Morris,
or he just shows up without a new deal. Whatever.
Morris gets a series here, a series there, as long as Pollard is sharp on picking up his blitz pickups.
There you go.
You think Morris is the third running back on this team with Zeke?
Nicky said all along, Chun. I think Mickey's on to something.
That was another mailbag question today.
I think I said I think a better Rod Smith. He plays well on special teams. He's a physical guy. He could catch. He's got toughness to him. Mickey said it all along. He said, "Hey,
well, that was
watch
before
Chun."
Morris got here.
Yeah, but
basically they only gave Morris a $90,000 signing bonus.
If it's Elliott, I would feel good about this. Elliott, Pollard, Chun. I wouldn't feel poorly about that group because we saw yesterday, and you check out Scout's Eye, I wrote about Olawale catching the ball down the sidelines. I mean, that's something he can do. If they have to play with a single back, Olawale might fit into that role.
Does it have to be special teams too as a factor? Because
with backs it is because you got 2 linebackers that don't play special teams. I mean, does Slate Vander Esch really play special teams?
Actually, 3.
Yeah, Sean Lee doesn't play special teams, even though he's a starter.
You don't want to send Jaylon Smith out there.
Jaylon Smith, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And in the game against the Rams, Chun had 2 special teams tackles, and he had another play, and I don't remember which one it was. He went down there and he blew something up. He caused another guy to make a tackle. So he was active in coverage on special teams, and if you're going to have 3 running backs active, at least one of them has to play special teams, and actually you would have 2 because Pollard can return kicks for you if you want.
Number 80, Marcus Lucas, running with the ones today. He's the only tight end out there.
He's the only tight end.
What have you guys seen from him? That was another question on Twitter.
Opportunities. I talked to him yesterday. I said, "You weren't out yet?" He goes, "Oh, man, this is great." And I said, "Well, you can only ask for opportunities." He goes, "That's what it's all about."
Yeah.
And he was a happy camper, even if they looked at him as maybe the 5th tight end out there. He just feels like he's getting an opportunity to show people, not only here, but maybe somewhere else, if somebody needs to pick a tight end up.
You're absolutely right. The kid has been in a lot of places. He's just trying to find a home right now. And, we all believe that the tight end injury situation will take care of itself.
Yeah, I don't think any of these injuries are considered serious with Schultz or Jones.
I don't think the kid is done bad for himself. There's a lot of times you're very apprehensive about bringing somebody in off the street. I remember George Selvey coming here, off the street basically on a July 30th practice, and all of a sudden showing up and having a nice career for the Cowboys.
And now he's still here as a volunteer coach or whatever they call him.
As a personnel guy, you'd never want to bring a player that doesn't show well in camp. You don't
just
want
remember,
to, but he's done well.
Marcus Lucas was University of Missouri's 2nd leading receiver on the team that went to the SEC championship in Atlanta and lost to Auburn.
Brad Sham talked about that on the radio.
With a tight game into the 4th quarter before they didn't score enough points because I think I'm going to forget Auburn's running back. I think he's still running for yards, as a matter of fact.
Kerryon Johnson from Detroit?
No. It was before that. It was a 2013 season.
Okay.
The guy's still gaining yards.
I'm sorry, Mick.
And as a matter of fact, I I brought it up to him, and he goes, yeah. He goes, for some reason, we changed our defensive formation. And I go, I know. I was yelling from the stands that's not the formation to be in.
Oh, Mickey on a game day. On an airplane, wherever we are traveling,
I was almost
time. What's up?
I was almost close enough.
Well,
to
if we're out
be
of time,
heard.
I'll catch you up.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, any thought about just carrying 5 wide receivers?
I said that the other day.
It's a possibility.
I said that the other day.
Maybe you're going to have to go long at one of these other positions that, if you don't feel great about the 6th wide receiver here, why not go long at another position?
Like to your point, if Noah Brown starts the season on PUP, I don't know if that necessarily means you got to keep
6?
2 other receivers in addition. If if Tavon's
you have
your
said
4th.
that. You're right. I'm sorry.
I mean, you could go defensive line is changed a lot in terms of depth from those George Selvey days. I mean, you might want to keep an extra defensive lineman. We'll see what happens there. Practice is continuing on. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks to Mickey, Brian, Caden, Alex for producing. The break is next here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?